Hello folks, it's that time again. Here we are playing 6. My name's Chris. I created this game to play on my lunch break to scratch that TTRPG itch. You can probably hear the microwave going in the background as I'm heating up some food. But with some of these sessions, I've recorded as I've played along. Other times, such as this, I'll have played the session, written my notes, and then I can sort of read it back to you guys, I guess, and hopefully make it interesting enough to listen to. So without further ado, with every game of 6, we have our 6 first starting roles, which is the setting, the hero, the objective, health, gold, and their starting move, or their sort of starting direction, mapping, that sort of thing. For those of you that are new to listening to this series, 6 is a game where you create your character within a setting and then use dice rolls to map out a dungeon or a space that your hero is travelling through to try and complete an objective, based on sort of the events and encounters you roll up. It's all played using 6-sided dice. Each session is self-contained, or can be self-contained. I've been running the narrative, trying to link each session together. Put my teeth back in. So last session we were a thief in a kind of cyberpunk world, or should I say a science fiction thief, think Han Solo, in a cyberpunk world, think Blade Runner. And yeah, you get those interesting crossovers and things like that. But if you listen back to the episode, it explains how I ended up there. I use a lot of ad-libbing. I use a few generators that you can find online very easily. Without further ado, session 4. So the setting I rolled up was sci-fi, and I got a cleric, which means I can spend 1 of my gold to recover 1 hit point. The objective is to rescue someone or something. Usually rescue I put as someone, because there is the mission recover, which is to recover more likely an object. And there's a microwave. So next 2 rolls I rolled were my health, which I rolled 1. Not a great place to be. If you hit 0 health, you're dead, or you're at least unconscious. And 1 gold, so I can only, as a cleric, recover 1 extra health. So hopefully the dice roll in my favour. I like to ask a few questions when I get started using the oracles. Oracles are simply yes and no, or yes but, yes and, no but, no and. So I've just asked, is the cleric in their own realm? The answer is yes. So we are a sci-fi cleric in their own realm. So in my head, I'm a medic aboard a ship. Perfectly simple. Are they male? No. So quick NPC name generator gave me Marie. So Marie is our medic aboard a starship, and she needs to rescue someone. So using a bit of creative license, I've said she's searching for a member of the crew after an ambush. She's injured, which is why she only got 1 health, and she's desperately trying to escape with this other crew member. So then I rolled a class or a hero for the crew member, just to kind of give them a bit of story themselves, and rolled another cleric. So it's going to be someone they work with. It's going to be an assistant. Are they male or female? I rolled, are they male? Yes. Name generator gave me Wardie, or Ward, which I thought was quite fitting for a medic. I then asked, are they human? Which I didn't ask about Marie, but are they human? It was a no. So I assume they are going to be sort of a medic droid. So are they a droid? Yes. So Marie, the medic, is searching for a medbot that she is affectionately nicknamed Wardie, because he works on a medical ward. Aha. I then use a generator for the ship's name, and it is the Dream. And it also gave me a sort of class, which was a cargo ship. So is it transporting medical supplies? No. Is it transporting personnel? Yes. Which could be quite interesting, which is something we could tie into narratively at some point. We had our thief called Jax that was rescued from a cyberpunk kind of holding cell. So maybe that was the ship that was meant to be picking him up, and they never made it because they got ambushed by someone or something. So we have a character, we have their objective, and we have where they are. We have Marie, the medic, on the ship, cargo ship Dream. So then we start rolling on directions. So to start with, we head right, and then down a central corridor. I'm sort of envisioning this a bit like the old Alien movies. So the ship's kind of wrecked and there's fires going on and it's low lit, and she's sort of stumbling through the dark. She takes a right, carries on straight down a corridor, takes another right, desperately searching for Wardie, and she wanders into a room. Maybe she's disoriented because she's injured, maybe she's just not sure where he is, but wanders into a room. It's a small room, and we're going to roll an event, which is a trap. I'm going to assume that these traps are actual the ship's own security measures, so they're going to sort of like lock and try and decontaminate the room if there's an intruder, maybe, or maybe there's some form of like kind of weapons inbuilt to the systems that can fire off. But yeah, the trap's going to go off. But before that happens, she's going to use her medic capability or cleric skill to spend a gold to gain a health. The way I picture that is it's almost like a sort of purchasing a stim pack from kind of like a travelling inventory, I guess. But yeah, I spent a gold, so that puts her at 2 health. And then she triggers the trap, rolling a 3, which means she passes, but she does lose her health. So luckily we bought ourselves that health, so we're back to 1 health. In that room, she's going to take a right and then a right, and she's going to enter into a larger room. So this is going to have 2 events, and rolling both of those, that's another 2 traps, which is not ideal. And so the first one we're going to roll, and it's a 5, so she passes the first sort of security tripwire. And then we're going to roll for the second one, and that is a 2, which means she deactivates it but loses a health, which takes us to 0 HP. This is our first character death in the series, and at this point you could stop playing. You could simply say that is the end. You didn't reach your objective, roll up a new character. However, we have another character in this game. We have Wardie. We know he's a medic, and we know he's somewhere on the ship. So let's roll him up. Let's roll up an objective for him. Remember, it could be remove, which is kill the intruders. It could be recover, which is find something as a means of escape or that's important, or rescue. And we've rolled up recover, so our quest is to recover, and I'm going to say he's going to try and recover Marie, who is unconscious, and therefore he's going to try and grab her and take her to an escape pod to get off this ship. So we have our hero, his name is Wardie. We have his role, which is a cleric, but we need to give him some health, so I'm going to roll that. I need to give him some gold, so I'm going to roll that. which is 2 and 3 respectively. So he's got 2 health, so he is also injured. And he's got 3 gold though, so he's able to recover 3 health at points and junctures throughout this session. So his first roll is going to be a right, and then the next is a small room, which again, unbelievably, has a trap in it. So I'm thinking that maybe this personnel ship has a lot of security. So maybe it is a prison transport, which would then tie to Jax, our thief. So this is a prison transport ship called Dream, and the cargo is people. It's moving people. Ironically called Dream, considering it's a prison transport, but maybe we can look into that in the future. So he's going to roll to try and disarm the trap, and he rolls a 3, which is a pass with a hit. So it's a pass with a minor damage, so he loses a health. It takes him from 2 to 1 HP. So he's going to burn, I could realistically say he burns a gold to gain a health, but he's going to just burn 2 gold to gain 2 health, which takes him to 3 HP. So they're going to head right and into a large room, which has another trap, unbelievably, and a monster or an intruder. Now, I'm envisioning that these intruders are human and are going to be someone that's trying to break prisoners off the ship. Maybe it's someone that was searching for Jax. In fact, yeah, let's roll and see if that's the case. So we're going to roll on the Oracle, and that's yes. They were searching for Jax, but he's not here. And he was, when we last saw him, he had been rescued from a cyberpunk holding cell and had made his way back to his base of operations and been given a new objective, which was to go and rescue someone who turned traitor. And we left him, I believe, in the cyberpunk realm. Maybe he escaped. I'm going to have to listen back to that. But anyway, he's facing off against the trap and intruder, so he's going to try and disarm the trap. And loses a health in the process. This is becoming a standard. And then he's going to fight the monster, or humanoid, should I say. I'd imagine that Wardie, as a medbot, doesn't really have weapons per se, but I imagine he does have like a sort of protocol to protect himself and others. So he'll probably utilise like whatever he can, given that he's, you know, a robot. He'll probably have greater strength than humans, so he'll be able to overpower a person. So he's going to try and overpower this person, and that's again a pass with a hit, so that's a -1, leaving him at 1 health. So we're pretty injured, but we've cleared the room, we've cleared the trap, we've cleared the intruder. So we're going to burn a gold, burn our last gold to give us 1 HP, so we're back to 2 HP. Leave this room, we head straight, and then there's a right, then there's another right, and at this point I'm going to invoke the endless corridors rule, which means if you have 3 corridors or more in a row, you can choose to roll, and 1 to 3 is a small room, 4 to 6 is a large. So I'm going to roll that, it's 1, which gives me a small room with the item, or the event, should I say, in there being a trap. And I've rolled a 6 to pass that, which means I've straight up passed it. No harm, no foul. However, when I'm playing, if I roll a 6 on an encounter, I like to use that as an opportunity to say I have found something extra. There's been something uncovered, a secret found from that kind of critical success. Because of course if you get a 1, a critical failure, you lose 2 points of health, so there should be a bonus when you get a critical success. So I'm going to say that this critical success means we can roll a bonus encounter. You know, maybe we also uncover some loot, or maybe we find Marie, maybe we just find another trap or monster that would have caught us out along the way, or at least some information about those whereabouts. So let's roll on a bonus encounter and we'll kind of go from there. As an NPC, it's Marie. I'm going to say that this is us finding Marie, in which case I will say our next room will be our exit. Yeah, so let's just map a little bit further, and our next room will contain, rather than rolling for an encounter, we'll just say it contains the escape pod. So we're rolling, and straight away, wouldn't you know it, we roll up a small room. So I would say Marie had made it towards the escape pods thinking that Wardie was here. However, she fell foul of that trap, and Wardie finds her unconscious body near the escape pods. So he's going to scoop her up, probably stabilise her, as he is a med bot and he can do that. He doesn't have any gold, so we can't give her any life per se, but I'd imagine he can stave off death a while longer for her. He's going to roll her into the escape pod, type in some controls, and jettison the pair of them off away from the prison transport vessel known affectionately as Dream. And that's it. That's today's session. An interesting one in that we had a character death, which we've not yet had, and you can see how we played out that scenario and used the information we had generated in the short setup to give us some direction with where the adventure could go from there. I really hope you've enjoyed listening. Hit all the buttons, like and subscribe. And I now have an Instagram, which is 1DX Engine. The game is available to be downloaded for free. I'll drop the link in the bio. And yeah, happy adventuring.